Formula 1 is an ever-evolving sport. Ever since the sport began back in the 1950s, the cars have changed, the drivers have changed, and in this case, the rules have changed. We have gotten used to the concept of regulation changes in order to change up the competitive order, such as the 2022 regulations last season that flips Mercedes' performance on its head. And well, this doesn't mean we won't be seeing any new regulations for the 2023 season. In fact, there are quite a few new elements being added and experimented in the 2023 season. Of course, they are nowhere near on the same scale as some of the 2022 changes, but could make a difference in the competitive order. So for this video, I'll take you through 7 specific changes coming in for the 2023 Formula 1 season. Firstly, I'll begin with the technical changes regarding the actual car, and well, unsurprisingly, it's mainly focused around the theme of 2022. Of course, I'm talking about porpoising. Well, the first change imposed is to increase the minimum ride height of the cars by 15mm, which will mean the cars bottom out less, causing the car to bounce or porpoise less. To accommodate to these changes, the diffuser throat, which is basically the underside of the diffuser, has also been raised. Also, to stop porpoising, the sensors that detect vertical forces on the cars from porpoising have been improved. This will help the FIA in detecting when porpoising is too severe and could affect driver safety. And then the final 2 changes to the technical regulations include the minimum weight of the cars dropping from 798kg to 796kg, as well as the roll hoops being strengthened following that horror crash involving Guan Yu Zhou at the British Grand Prix. Formula 1 have also taken measures to combat the ridiculousness of grid penalties. We all remember last year's Italian Grand Prix where we had to wait hours for the final grid for the race to be decided, and so they've made a change to simplify the issue. Basically, any drivers that receive more than 15 cumulative grid position penalties, or those penalised to start at the back of the grid, will start behind any other classified driver, and the order of those positions will be determined by their qualifying position if more than one driver receives the mentioned penalties. For 2023, we are also going to see some experimenting with tyre compounds in qualifying. For 2 races next year, they will require everyone to use the hard tyres in Q1, medium tyres in Q2 and soft tyres in Q3. Currently, the teams are allowed to use any compound they want for any of these sessions. Now, they've done this to reduce the amount of tyre sets the teams get throughout the Grand Prix weekend, because currently there is a lot of waste from underusing a certain tyre set. However, if the qualifying session is wet, then of course they are allowed free choice of compounds. We will also see the amount of sprint race weekends double compared to last season, with 6 events hosting a sprint race being Azerbaijan, Austria, Belgium, Qatar, the USA and Brazil. This comes as Formula 1 are trying to make the sport more accessible and easier to watch by taking out the complication of pit stops. But it would be interesting to see what you guys think, so let us know in the comments section below. Another small change to the cars involves the mirrors. For this year, they're being made wider by 50mm from 150 to 200mm. Now obviously, this is to improve visibility for the drivers, as we've seen countless times the drivers not really being able to see that much in the past. And even though this is a small detail, I would keep an eye on this, as we have seen a lot of innovation around the wing mirrors in the past. So I would expect to see some interesting approaches around that area. Now, as of the 2023 calendar, this is the longest we have ever seen, with 23 races following the cancellation of the Chinese Grand Prix. So understandably, the workload on the flyaway team members has increased considerably. So in consideration of this, the number of hours worked by the team members over a Grand Prix weekend has been reduced. Basically, the curfews, or the latest possible time each day that team members are allowed to work on the car, has been made 1 hour earlier for Wednesday, Thursday and Friday. As well as this, before the teams were allowed 8 exceptions throughout the year to pass this curfew, whereas for 2023 this has been reduced to 4 exceptions. And the final change being implemented for 2023 concerns fuel temperatures. The new rule states that fuel in a car must not be colder than the lowest of either 10 degrees Celsius below ambient temperature, which is when the fuel is stored, or at any time the car is running away from the garage. Originally, this used to be 20 degrees Celsius, and this basically allows teams to have a bit more freedom around their storage and use of their fuels, which ultimately reduces costs for the team. So there you have it. After all, there are quite a few changes being implemented for the 2023 season when you may not have thought there were. Now, to what extent any of these changes will have an effect on the competitive order of the teams, that's something we're going to have to wait and see. But the most likely changes to shake things up will be the raising of the minimum ride height of the cars and the new tyre experiments. All in all, I think we can be very excited for what's to come in 2023.